Oh, yeah. What is up, you fucking cunts? That's going to be my new opener. Yeah, we'll play around with it a little bit, I think. But either way, again, just as I've described in the last podcast that I did, censorship is kind of going out the window on my end. I don't really give a shit right now about what words come out of my mouth. Why? Because fuck them. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in self-censoring any longer. I think we need to have some hard fucking conversations. I think people need to use the language they need to use in order for it to be effective. So I don't care. And if Susie Q over at YouTube wants to get all offended, then so fucking be it. She's a little fucking brat anyway. She can get all offended. The big thing of what it comes down to, and this is the conversation that we're going to get into here for a little bit too, is this. It goes against my philosophy. Let's highlight that philosophy real quick, I guess. First and foremost, I'm going to wait for a few more people to fall up in here before we get talking about actually, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. I really don't care how many people watch this. I don't give a shit anymore. I just give a shit about fucking taking care of me and doing me. So this is for me. I'm coming on here. I'm talking about this shit for me. So that's where I'm at. Anyway, the philosophy really comes down to the fact that I don't believe that people should be protected. I don't think that people should be protected from what people have to say, from words necessarily. I think that's your responsibility as an individual. And really, if you highlight that philosophy, that goes into everything I'm discussing. Got a few people up in the chat. Make sure you guys are hitting the like. Make sure you're stopping in the comment section saying what's up. Let's see who's in here. But anyway, what it comes down to with this philosophy is if you don't like the words I have to say, especially if you're on the fucking internet, the internet is the goddamn wild, wild west. It's a free space for ideas and thoughts and information and so forth. If you don't like what you see on the internet, you have the option to just click that little fucking X button and not come back. Right? And then the next thing that be said is this, when it comes to just society and words, right? Like me saying, what's up, you fucking cunts, or whatever fucking word I say, whether it be fuck, shit, piss, cunt, kike, Jew, I don't give a fuck who it is, right? You have the option to be offended, right? But not take any action against it. What does that mean? Well, being offended is a choice. Being offended is a choice. It's a choice you decide to take. And it's unfortunately a position of being a victim. You want to control the words that come out of my mouth rather than control the way that you react to situations. Now, frankly, which one do you have more control over? Do you have control over what comes out of my mouth, what actions I take, how I live my life, what I do, how I impact the world? Or do you personally have more control over how you view things, how you react to things, what actions you take in your life, what perspectives you view things from? Which one do you have more control over? Like I said, the simplest thing is if you don't like what the fuck I'm saying, just simply hit that fucking X button and move on. Don't view me again. Right? And if my ideas suck, guess what? The more people that hit that X button and don't fucking view me, guess what? It means I'm just going to go and shirk off into the fucking dregs of whatever, right? Into the shadows of YouTube and so forth. But censoring someone has an inverse reaction, has an inverse effect. It's what most people don't realize and don't understand. They're cultivating dissent when you censor someone. When you censor someone, you cultivate dissent. Because not only did you just control that person, you also controlled the perspective of those viewers. And that's when people get pissed off. And that's when people become more radicalized. It's kind of the same thing if you really want to equate my philosophy over right now to the whole mask wearing thing. This is going to segue into my conversation that I want to discuss today as well. Not just about the mask, it's about people in general. What's wrong with people? The whole mask thing. People will get mad at you for not wearing a mask. It's like, well, if your mask works, then what the fuck is the problem here? What's your problem? Well, it's because you want me to be as submissive as you. You want me to give into the power structures. You want me to fall into your belief system. And that's not fucking freedom. And this is something that I want you guys to start drawing parallels between. The more feminine a society, the less freedom is allowed. Why? Because the chaoticness of the feminine breeds neuroticism. And women love to be neurotic. They love throwing out the what ifs and dreaming about all the the ghouls, the ghosts, the fucking goblins, the monsters under the bed. They love fucking creating fucking mountain out of a molehill kind of thing. That's their jam. They love it. Their little fucking crazy neurotic mind gets off on that type of shit. That's why seduction works so well on women. Anyway, getting into it with the whole mask thing, it's like, if I have the desire to not go around wearing a mask, that's my choice. And believe it or not, what they'll sit there and say is that you are impacting my health in some way, shape, or form. It's like, good. Okay. Well, we're walking around in a free, open society. Supposedly, that's what it's supposed to be. If you don't like taking the risk of going out into that free, open society and possibly contracting a fucking virus or a disease or dying, stay inside your house. Stay inside your little bubble that you have full control, complete control over, rather than wandering outside of your safe little bubble and going out into the world, into your environment, and interacting with other people and then telling them how they must make you feel safe. It's not my responsibility to make you feel safe. It's not even my responsibility to protect your life. If I choose to protect your life, that's my choice, but it's a choice. But you can't relegate me into making your life, your feelings, your emotions my priority. I could never succeed in life. I can never move forward in life if I'm constantly having to take care of everybody else's opinions, feelings, perspectives as the priority. It's not possible. The only priority that one should have in one's life is I like it. Your bitching is affecting my good mood. So let's compromise. I won't put on a mask and you can shut the fuck up and leave me in peace. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. But that's what it comes down to. People have lost touch with the fact that they are in control of their lives. They're in control of what they allow into their brains. They're in control of what they allow out of their mouths, right? Now, you can't control what I say. You can't control what I do. You don't have any control over me. That's why when I talk about in my first book, Live Your Best Life in 30 Days, relationships are the hardest thing in the world. Why? Well, because the first 5 parts of my 6-pillar philosophy is something that everyone control on their own, right? The physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial, I can control all in my own life, but then I throw in relationships. That's the first aspect. This is the first aspect where it enters into a world that is not fully in my control. Now, of course, you can always sit here and say, financial, blah, 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 is outside of yourself. But really, you have a bigger effect on that than you do with relationships. Why? Because once you start throwing a relationship with another person in, now you're having to battle them and their top 5 right there, and the way that they interact with the world, their values and all this other stuff. It's like, it's insanely difficult. So the best way to live life is honestly just focusing on you and shutting the fuck up. Like, I don't mean to say shutting the fuck up in the sense of like, if you see an injustice, like just shutting your mouth. But most people today, they're so goddamn self-righteous for no fucking reason. And they have no perspective on understanding what freedom is. Right? Living in a society together, you have to have this respect that my I guess social contract in a way is, yes, I can do things that are free, but at the same time, I'm also a purveyor of my neighbor's freedom as well. And once my freedom starts to encroach on their freedom, that's when I have to essentially rein it back. And of course, there's always going to be some strife between the two. But right now, what's going on is it's like someone walks out there and they want everyone to be and make them happy at and feel comfortable at every step of the way. And it's like, no, no. Like, you fail to forget and understand that part of life is facing uncomfortable things and getting over it, or learning how to work it into your favor, or so forth, or growing from it. All these people that we're talking about, mainly falling within the far left, these are types of people that they don't want to grow. They just want to be comfortable. They want life to be assured to them. They want life to be given to them. They want life to be granted to them. They want to know that they're going to be safe. And this is what happens when you mother a society for too long. You create these toxic little brats that have the case of the gimmies. And when you don't gimme, they throw tantrums. So there's only two solutions. You give them what they want, or they throw a tantrum. It's like, that's not a very nuanced society now, is it? It's shit. It's like what people do. That's what cancel culture is all about too. I don't like that person's perspective. It scares me because I can't ideologically fight it. So therefore, cancel. Oh, yay. Now I feel empowered. This is nice. Yeah, microaggressions. I like it. I came up with a pretty funny fucking word earlier today. Oh, yeah, retistic. That's what these people are. They're just retistic. Anyway, what I really wanted to talk about today, as far as what the big issue is, that was just me ranting a little bit. The biggest issue that I'm starting to see, I mean, there's a lot of them, but one of the biggest issues I'm starting to see with most people today is their inability to be decisive, their lack of decisiveness, and their lack of confidence within making a decision rapidly. As a matter of fact, so decisiveness has not become, I don't know how to say it this way, but we've reduced decisiveness as far as being a high virtue within our society. And again, this is what comes down to having a feminine-led society, is that decisiveness. Because the thing is, when you make a decision, you automatically discriminate. Well, and how is it discrimination? Well, what you're doing is you're taking and choosing just one option as the best course of action and then going after it, and you're leaving behind all the other options. But for women, they always want to have the door open, right? It's like, oh, like, what if that other option was better or whatever? It's like, no, make a decision and fucking go. Why am I bringing this up? Well, from what I see with everybody around so far, I've come to see that I look at people's eyes when they're caught in a position where they need to actually make a decision rapidly, and I see their eyes, and their eyes just glow fucking bright, and they freeze, and they're just like, And the problem is, most people find that now virtuous, of like being this fucking kind of stoned fucking ape where you're just like, bah, like someone's going to come along and fix this for me, or it's all going to work itself out kind of deal. And the problem is, especially now that we're becoming overpopulated and we have such a drastic scale of ranges of people with different levels of intelligence, IQ, EQ, and so forth, that there's people that are literally running around in circles because of their ability to be decisive, because they have higher IQ, because they have higher EQ, because they have higher wisdom. And they're running circles around these people that just can't make decisions or choose not to make decisions. It's like, this is inefficient. It's like, I like to joke around. Like, I see some people around here. Let's use driving for a case in point around here, right? And hey, you know what? I'm going to get it a little bit racial because, again, I'm going to stop fucking censoring myself. The majority of fucking Asians and Mexicans that are driving around here, they have like no spatial awareness. They're just kind of sitting there and they're just operating their vehicle and they're listening to their fucking mariachi or whatever the fuck Asians listen to. I don't know. Maybe fucking math problems or something. And they're just sitting there and they're driving about, ish the speed limit, like maybe 5 under. And they accelerate really slow and they turn out really slow. And when they put their fucking signal light on, they put it on for like fucking 5 minutes before they actually go and do it. And they don't even fucking look over their shoulder. They're just like, oh, everything's going to be okay. I'm just going to veer into this. And here I am. And I'm driving above the speed limit because I know where I'm going. I know what time I want to be there, right? I got shit. Like, I'm already planning on the second I get there, how it's going to be. I'm already looking 4, 5, 6 cars ahead of what moves I'm going to make and do all this other stuff, right? But here we got fucking Pepe, who's just over here, and he's like, no, doop. No, I'm just going to, veer into this lane. It's like, you can't have a society and a civilization like that. Another case in point that I'm going to bring up is, this was actually a white chick. I was out at the grocery store the other day, and I was walking out with my cart full of fucking groceries. And, you obviously have that one lane right in front of the grocery store, which is a fucking just contamination zone, right? Because people are always walking to their cars and people are driving. There's fucking speed bumps and there's crosswalks and all this other shit. And this woman is driving and she's actually paced to like beat me. Right. So like, I'm not just going to like walk out and cut in front of her and she stops and XYZ. And then there's another guy who's waiting for her to drive past so that he could fucking turn right and go the opposite direction and avoid me as well. And what does she do? So she's driving and then all of a sudden she just like stops when she sees me like exit the grocery store and walk up to the curb. And she just stops and she just like stares. And you could see in her eyes, like, what do I do? Like, she's trying to do the right thing, but in doing so, she just fucked the person behind her. She fucked that other guy over there. And then she's like trying to politely like let me go. It's like, no, just don't fucking worry about my feelings and my opinion or whatever and trying to appear to be a good person. Just drive your fucking car and turn, put your fucking signal light on and turn and park as quickly as possible. Right? But instead, she like stops and then like waits and then like flags me to go after she fucking realizes like she's a bonehead, right? And this other guy's like, what the fuck is this chick doing, right? And you just look at her fucking face and she's just like, and it was just like the slightest amount of fucking social pressure, and she turns into a fucking lemming. It's like this dance between being decisive and then constantly having to worry about virtue signaling and appearing socially fucking woke or whatever the fuck. It does not mix well. It's like we got to make a decision, right? As funny as that is, that I'm talking about decisiveness. What do we do marching forward? It's like you need to train people to stop worrying so much about other people's feelings and teach them to be more decisive. Now, I'm the type of guy where if I'm walking up to the door and I see like an elderly couple approaching or something like that, I'm going to stop and I'm going to hold open the door for them. I'm not just going to like barge in front of them. Oh, it depends on what I'm doing too. Like barge in front of them, like whip open the door and just like run in the fucking store because I'm being decisive, right? I'm taking action. It's like, obviously there's some level of respect and other stuff, but I think that we've tipped way too far to the other side of things where people think that by driving slowly, it's like another case in point. Let's use driving, for instance. Thanks, buddy. We'll post that up there. Compliments pay dividends, my friends. But it's like another thing that I see a lot of people do. We're getting onto the on-ramp. We're on the on-ramp to the freeway. And this is California too, by the way. People are driving like fucking 10 miles over the speed limit easily all the time. Like 20 usually. But what do these fucking retards do? They get on the freeway at 45 miles an hour thinking that somehow driving slowly is safe. Not making a decision is safe. Being cautious is safe. It's like, believe it or not, being cautious is not safe. As a matter of fact, being cautious is probably more costly to most people in most people's lives, but people don't reflect on this. People don't reflect on the fact that their actions of being indecisive and being cautious usually fucking causes more collateral damage than actually being decisive and going for the fucking gold right away. It's like, I remember when I was a kid, my going through driver's ed, 16 years old. Actually, I think it was 15 and I don't remember. Can you get your permit at 16 or could you get it at 15 and a half, go through driver's ed and then get your actual license right at 16 years old? I think so. I think that's what it was. Anyway, so I'm going through driver's ed at my high school. And the teacher, I think his name was Mr. Bernstein or something along those lines. He was a math teacher. I'm driving with him and he's like, all right, let's get on the freeway. And, this is the first time getting on the freeway. He's a fucking teacher, so he has some level of authority and all this other stuff. And, I speed up to like maybe like 55, not trying to fucking gun it. I'm trying to be like respectful and polite and not be an asshole kind of thing. And I speed up to like 55 and then I merge safely and all this other stuff. He's like, get off the freeway. Like, get off at this exit. So we're at the stoplight and he's like, listen. He's like, you got to understand physics. You got to understand safety too when it comes to this stuff. You're getting onto this thing where people are doing 65 miles an hour. You have to match or exceed their speed in order to safely merge in there. Do you understand that? It's like, yeah, that makes sense. He's like, because if you do 55, they're going to have to slow down now. You're the one that's responsible for merging on there, not them, right? You need to be the responsible one. He's like, so when the light turns green, I want you to fucking gun it. Step on that gas pedal and fucking get up to 65 miles an hour. You got me? He gave me permission and he taught me why I needed to do it. There's a fucking reason behind it. Makes sense, right? I'm actually, by accelerating and doing this stuff, I am actually benefiting other people and benefiting society, so to speak, right? Because I'm not sitting on my little high horse thinking that I'm being fucking good by being a fucking jackass, by being safe. No. I'm actually being good by speeding up or exceeding so that I don't cause other people around me to have to slow down at my behest or make drastic movements at my behest because I think that I'm being safe. Yep. And that's where I'm trying to go with it. Caution eats up time. In a fast-paced society, we cannot afford to have people being indecisive. We can't have people thinking it's noble to be indecisive. Everyone is high driving in Cali. Yeah, and I'm gonna throw it out there as far as culture is concerned. There's too many cultures. This multiculturalist type of fucking belief system is a myth. It goes back to the mask thing. Asians, you guys are the worst when it comes to being submissive and thinking that you're doing a good service by wearing masks all the time. So cut the shit out. Be an individual. Take a stand. Don't worry about other people's opinions of you. You're not going to get kicked out of the hive mind. You're going to get kicked out of the fucking society, though, if you don't be an individual. Plain and simple. I'm sick of this shit. Be more fucking spatially aware too. God damn it. Look around your surroundings. Be in tune with that shit. Make bold decisions. If your bold decision sucked, guess what? Next time, do it all over. Do it a different way next time, but at least you know. But being meek and passive and indecisive, there's no virtue in that shit. I can't stand people like that. But the problem is we live in a society today where that is celebrated. And honestly, this has been tinfoil hat time. This has been orchestrated. It's like, it's been socially engineered is what I'm trying to say. I don't know how. I mean, part of me does. Is it the fluoride in the water? Is it, if that even exists? Is it our school system that doesn't teach you how to fucking think and reason and critically think any longer? That's more to do with what I believe, right? It's like teaching people a bunch of stuff and then telling them what conclusions to draw just makes people fucking lazy mentally. Living in a society where they're constantly protected from the out there. Drives me nuts, though. I agree. Might as well just fucking tape a sock to your face. It's the same shit. Actually, I think the sock would probably be better. Fecky shit. Anyway, I've come to the conclusion. So I'll fill you guys in on this too. So last night, little bit of a celebratory podcast here as well. I told my guys in WarTribe about my plans. As weird as it sounds, but last night I officially hit 231 as far as the official numbers for the ladies that have been bedded by this studly man. And I've been keeping track like pretty diligently since I moved into my new spot back in November. Yeah, back in November of 2019. Like before that, I was kind of scribbling what I remembered, but this like is for sure. Like every single time wrote it down. Like, yeah, let's write down on the list afterwards, right? And I was telling these guys, I was telling my WarTribe dudes, I was listening to AMS a little while ago, and he's like, a fucking true fucking badass would be hitting over 100 chicks a year. So 2 a week. I was like, fuck, dude. That's gnarly. Like that, I mean, that's gnarly. That's some gnarly work too. Like that's it. Like you'd have to have some pretty good social credibility in order to be pulling, from what I believe, 2 a week consistently for a year, averaging that. So I was like, let's settle for something a little bit more realistic. I think I could attain doing at least pulling one new girl a week, and then obviously running your rotation. So as of last night, I've officially averaged out at 1 a week since November of 2019. I think since then, that would probably be week 37 or 38. So that's where I'm at since then. So congrats to this guy. Believe it or not, as of I'd have to say the last 6 to 8 weeks, I've been averaging about 2 a week, which has been fucking crazy. Like I tell my guys, when it rains, it pours. I'm not doing anything special, to be honest with you. I'm just putting the bait out there on Tinder and Bumble. I fired those back up, but whatever. And then I'm just focusing on jujitsu and all this other stuff. But the reason why I bring all this stuff up as a segue is, I mean, the numbers don't matter, but they do at the same time for that aspect. But I actually ended up having a pretty good conversation with this chick afterwards, just getting into some of the stuff that I talk about in general. Normally I don't talk about this shit with chicks, but it just happened to fucking come up. She, believe it or not, she's a former Marine. So it was like we kind of had some stuff that we could talk about. And obviously knowing that she's a former Marine as well. And she was like, I think she's like 27 years old right now. So she was in a different time. You know, most of these chicks have this inner feminist for sure, especially women that join the military. They're definitely feminists, like wholeheartedly feminists. And we started chatting about the direction to go in the future. And I was like, well, I got it all figured out. And she's like, okay, let's hear it. I was like, well, you got a fucking week? Because that's how long it's going to take me to lay everything out. And we just got to chatting, and I was like, you know what I need to do? Like, I sat there highlighting this stuff. And what was great too was having her as as like a sounding board, as weird as it sounds. Yeah, of course you're not going to get a response. I wouldn't even say it's a hot dude army anymore. I don't know if you've seen fucking John. I should pull up the picture of him on Twitter. God damn. Should call it the fucking fat dude army or some shit like that. Because homeboy is not looking fucking good. And he's like bragging that he's like, I don't know, whatever. Who cares? Someone on my fucking timeline liked his shit. I don't fucking follow him anymore, but I also wore a fragrance to the gym today, knowing full well that was going to trigger Rich Cooper all the way up in Canada. So fuck that guy too. He's a bitch. And I had a better name for John's army. He's the general of the fucking beached whale army or some shit. I don't know. Oh yeah, bitch tit boys or something. Yeah, he's not looking too good. And this is something I tried to warn him about before too. Because I've been there, honestly. Soft dude army. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Definitely not hot dudes. I warned him about this before because I've been in that position. I've worked, you know, obviously when I own my businesses and stuff like this, I've overworked. You know, I kind of bought into that whole thing of like, oh man, the more you work, the more time and energy you put into something, the more it's going to grow, X, Y, Z. I was working 80, 90 hours a week and I fucking collapsed, and I put my health and my fitness on the back burner. Well, I mean, I was actually still lifting pretty crazy, but definitely my fucking diet. And when you do all that stuff too, most people don't realize that you're fucking just burning your central nervous system and your neurotransmitters, and you fucking create a lot of hormone dysfunction. And that dude's already hormonally imbalanced anyway, because he's got this like bitch boy fucking complex. But anyway, when you do that, you also start leaning into addictions. You try to find something that's going to comfort and nurture you. And what's the fastest and easiest thing that you're going to use to comfort and nurture you? Well, food is one, and then two is alcohol. Two things that are really not good when it comes to your body and your hormones. And that's what I tried to warn him against back in quarter three, the original quarter three. I said, dude, you're working way too much. You can't sacrifice sleep and energy and all this stuff. You still need to like work out and take care of yourself, decompress and XYZ. Like, you can't be doing this shit. He's like, yeah. Next time. It's like, you can't run away. You can't run away. And that's essentially what's going on. You can't cover yourself in Versace when you're a fucking fat mess and gold chains thinking that that's going to fucking fix the issue. No, you got to have discipline. Like, it's not easy to fucking just go to the gym when you haven't been going that often, or it's not that easy when you're sitting there and you're like, man, I really want to eat some fucking sugar or whatever, or drink. And you say, no, it's like, it's not easy. Your best foundation. And there's a reason why I like the 6 pillars. Why is fucking physical the first one? That's your foundation. It's your foundation. The second you let that shit go, your foundation starts to crack. You're not going to be able to hold up that shit. Anyway, thanks for posting that. I appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. But let's go back to what I was talking about with this chick. It was great to have her as a sounding board because she was able to get emotionally fucking triggered by what I was going to say. And the other aspect that I looked at it as was, it was a test, because she asked me a whole bunch of questions. Oh shit. Good for you. Yeah. I mean, we hold each other accountable. And even if it's something that is not addressed within the group, it's just that discipline alone of like, how can I keep getting better? It's definitely a part of it. So what I want to start doing is actually hopping on here, because I'll tell you what, I started writing part 2 of my book, and I was like, fuck this shit. Like as much as I like writing it all down, I was like, man, this is just so labor intensive. I'm more of a talker. And the other thing is, it's going to take fucking so much time before, it takes so much time to get the ideas out there through a book. It's like, why not just start out, like having that conversation with her last night kind of ignited a few things. I was like, why don't I just start talking about it? Why keep it all under wraps? So I'm going to start talking about what a future society looks like and some of the key areas that we're going to have to talk about. And I want to do like kind of I don't want to say series, but I want to start filling you guys in on what I foresee, how to create a far better, I hate to use the term fair because fairness is so subjective, I believe. I say just, balanced, optimized. Because what I'm starting to realize about life is, if you have justice, if you have balance, if you have optimization, that actually leads to more freedom, and that freedom leads to more happiness. If you could follow that kind of algorithm that I just put forth, right? Because when you have true justice, like actual justice, not social justice, like justice, like justice is blind. Someone did X, they're going to receive Y. No matter who it is, whether they're a fucking high ranking official in some whatever, or if they're the lowest fucking dregs on society. If you do X, you receive Y. Plain and simple. Justice. Like, we're not taking into consideration who you are. We're taking into consideration your actions and your intentions. So there's that. Now, optimization is just strictly the reduction of friction. And the other thing too is implementing systems that will benefit optimization as quickly as possible. I think that's better. I think the biggest problems that we're seeing in today's world, and this is, I mean, we're seeing it right now, is how inefficient it is. And it's inefficient because it's too big, and it's inefficient as well because it's meant to keep power and control in the hands of a few that are no longer the bedrock or the purveyors of who should be in charge of the direction of humanity. Because if you guys have read my second book, Purging Feminism, there's always going to be a hierarchy. No matter what we do, there's always going to be a hierarchy. Hierarchy is, unfortunately, but fortunately, I mean, I like hierarchy. I like knowing who's where. You know, my man right here says, that's really what it comes down to. I don't mind John, but he needs to know where he is in the food chain. There is a food chain, no matter what we do. There's always going to be a food chain. It's universal law. The weak should be made to understand they're weak and why they're weak. That way they can work on it and realize they won't be coddled or saved. I agree. I don't hate feminism because it made me realize I was weak, emotional, and naive. It helped me seek out dudes like you, and now I have a path to follow as a man. Yeah, it's funny. I think you're right there. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I don't hate feminism either. It's just like I don't hate the opposition to what I believe in, because believe it or not, that opposition has helped me to become who I am today. So exactly like what you're saying. But what I do think is this. I think there are better systems and there are better ways that we could go about it, just like what you're talking about. So we can get rid of feminism and we could bring in a masculine mentorship type of program, foundation, where it is people being direct. You know, one of the biggest downfalls that we're seeing today is, and this kind of ties into my conversation I'm having with you right here, right now, is this indecisiveness. It's also like The difference between being passive aggressive and being aggressive. It's actually far better for someone to be more aggressive with their language and with their words, i.e. being direct, right? It's not going to feel nice coming out and saying something to someone like, hey, listen, you're probably a good 5 to 10% body fat overweight. You need to fucking diet or else you're going to suffer, right? You're going to suffer on the sexual market. You're going to suffer mentally, emotionally, spiritually, so forth. Like, you're not going to be happy. You should cut that fat. You're fat. Go work out. Change it. Rather than like, oh, people just aren't accepting you for you, right? I mean, you should focus on health, but health has so many different spectrums of things that you could focus on. Like, you could do yoga, or you could become a vegan. You could do those kinds of things. It's like, yeah, right? That sneaky passive aggressiveness, rather than just saying like, hey, you need to cut fat. What you need to do is you need to cut calories, stop eating sugar, right? Cut calories down so you're in a deficit. You need to work out. You need to get some discipline in your body. You need to stop feeling sorry for yourself. You need to stop giving into your addictions. Like, quit that shit, right? So get a voice to text program. I got to hit you up after this anyway and fill you in on some stuff as far as getting you into the group chat for WarTribe. So yeah, moving forward, where do I want to start off at as far as starting to describe how this new society that I dreamed up would be? Well, we'll start here. How's that sound? Because this was kind of like one of the biggest pain points that she brought up, which I thought was hilarious. One of the biggest issues that we see in today's society is that most people, i.e. women, don't have skin in the game for society. This is something I pointed out. You don't have skin in the game. You don't owe anything to society. You just take the benefits from society while giving nothing. She's like, well, that's not true. I was like, okay, well, tell me how it's not true. She's like, oh, well, I don't have statistics right now or data. It's like, because you don't have any, right? You're going to disagree with me because I'm right and you don't want to lose that power and control. So, I said this, and this is my truest belief. People from 18 to 30 years old, around those age groups, their first duty in life is to pay their debt to society. And that might sound like a bit authoritarian. But one thing that I've learned is this. In my time frame of serving in the military for 9 years and losing that little bit of freedom that I had lost, right? Because when you're in the military, they're in complete control of your life. They can literally take and remove things from you that civilians don't have the right to. Like, for instance, anytime you're off work, that is considered liberty. Like, you are a Marine 24/7. So if I tell you your appointed place of duty is at your workstation for the next 7 to 10 days, that's where you are to be. It doesn't mean you can go out in town and drive around. It doesn't mean you can't change out of your fucking work clothes, i.e. your camouflage utilities and so forth, right? It's a privilege to wear civilian clothes. We're granted that privilege when we go on liberty. We're granted liberty, right? That means you can go out in town within a certain fucking mile or distance and all this other stuff, so on and so forth. So you lose a lot of freedom when you're in the military, and I think rightfully so. Now, some people will be like, Corey, you're this person that talks constantly about freedom and all this other stuff. Well, the thing that I've come to realize is this. When giving people unfettered freedom from the get-go, you don't value nor do you understand it. So, like, for instance, you look at all these Antifa twerps and all these other people that are going crazy all these people that are trying to push in this communist regime. Well, why is it that they're doing that? Well, it's because in their most formative years, when they should have been learning about the benefits of freedom by losing it in some way, shape, or form, by having someone have some level of control over them, just a bit. I'm not saying like a fucking iron fist here, right? But just a bit for them to be able to like squirm and squeal and like feel pressure. That's how you learn to value it when you don't have it. So that's how a society needs to be structured in the future. Now, one thing I want you guys to keep in mind is this. The reason why I also became so adamant on freedom, and I even started thinking about these concepts and then researching them afterwards and all this other stuff, and becoming a I don't want to say component. I lost the word that I'm looking for freedom, like an advocate for freedom and so forth, is because I lost it for some time. And it made me start thinking about these things. And is how can we live in a better, more freer society? Yeah, exactly. You have to earn freedom. He paid me $5. $1.05 will do. If you guys get that reference, post it in the chat. There are great ladies out there. I know a few. Most are confused, emotional, and talk too much. We want strong men to lead, and then we can focus on our strong points. And that's exactly where I'm about to go, Jennifer. Thank you very much. So a man's contribution to society is from 18 to 30. He will be in the military. He will not take a wife. That's what he will do. He will serve. Now, within his time frame of serving in the military, he will learn 2 trades. So we'll switch jobs partway through. And then the other thing is during that time frame, it's going to be the way I like to look at the military in the future as well would be more so of like a continuation of just masculine mentorship, but with a militant warrior minded type of focus on top of taking care of that. Now it serves 2 reasons as well. We want all our men to be trained in war fighting. The second is so that when they get out of the military, they will easily be able to be dispatched into a militia, and every male in society will be able to also filter into militias and wherever they choose to reside. The next thing is they'll have a full-blown understanding of how the military operates. So the military would be kind of like the federal military, right? And the militia would be more like the state or local type of military and so forth. So they'll have full understanding of how the federal military works inside, and they'll understand all the munitions and everything that the military has, because essentially the militia should also be as equipped as the federal government is, or the federal military. During the 18 to 30, they'll be getting paid a paycheck and then climbing the rank structure and so forth, where I want to thank John Fitch for this idea, where during that time frame, a part of their monies will be allocated into kind of like what a GI Bill is, what we do, but I call it a paternity fund, so that when they get out at 30 years old, they could instantaneously start a family, and they will have an account that if anything were to happen to them or anything along the lines where they're hurt or injured or whatever, and they can't actually work, their family will be provided for through that. Not to mention that if they were to die, the wife would be taken care of, so that it's not so it's no longer going to be something based off of the state and taxation and welfare. Not to mention she could also receive monies from nonprofit organizations and stuff, but it's in order to reduce taxation and reduce the burden of the state taking care of individual families and so forth. Something I'm working on as well is when that individual gets out of the military, they will be given a house, a property to start a family in. And then they could choose to sell and upgrade later and so forth, and they benefit from that. So that is for serving 12 years in the military. So your paternity fund is something that you earn and you gain, and obviously something that, people in the military should be teaching like mentoring men on how to grow that fund or how to even like entrepreneurship and all this other stuff, what they're going to do when they get out. Another aspect that I want to implement into it is the last year of a person's service. The last year, entire year, they will go through a transitional, like reverse boot camp into a civilian lifestyle type of thing, where there will be focus on freedom and rights and ensuring that their pay is all taken care of, therapy and so forth. And then I would even do like a reverse kind of spiritual ritual in order to make sure that, like with like an entheogenic medicine type of thing, MDMA, mushrooms or something like that, led by doctors or shamans, to ensure that whatever they had encountered, that they're on the path to being fixed, and then it would be brought through. Not to mention, I would even throw in during that year as well, red pill philosophy again, where you train men to get back into that mindset, even though I think this is something that would still be, the red pill is something that I'd want taught and continued for men in society, hands down, from in their schooling from 13 to 18. That's another thing that I'll talk about here in a little bit. But then throughout. Cool. But then it'll be rehashed of like what a man's position is when he chooses to become quote unquote husband and father, and what information to pass down, how to lead women in the household and so forth. Now, the next thing is, all right, so if men are serving in the military from 18 to 30, now the cool part is too, men can choose to stay in the military until whenever they get out. But the thing is, you cannot get married or have kids while you're in. Now, I'm thinking if we do promote people to generalhood, like to the ranks of like general, like high up there, I might waive that factor, but I don't know. Because the other thing that I realize is that men become weaker when they have a female presence in the house and when they have children. And I'd probably want my generals to be fucking just bloodthirsty savages. So I don't know about that one yet. It's something that I will chew on. Because if you have a general that's staying in until 40 or 45, fuck it. No wives. You can get out and have 3 wives after that at 45 and impregnate all 3 of them at the same time. So yeah, never mind. We're not doing that. Now, what's a woman's duty at this point in time? Well, at 18, so women will go to a finishing school from 13 to 18 in order to protect their chastity, in order for them to learn to continue to be more feminine and to get ready for fucking motherhood. And all that's going to be encompassed in that. And then once they reach the age of 18, this is going to sound weird, but essentially they're going to be put on the fucking marketplace to become brides to men who are 30 years and older, that have their resources put together, that have had training and leadership and skills in the red pill and so forth. That, like I said, they have resources already. They're higher level on the sexual marketplace. The females are virgins. They will remain virgins. And I think that's the best direction to go, because what they need to be doing is having children between the ages, most optimally, between the ages of 18 to 22, starting that off in that peak window. Because as we're starting to see right now with women who are having children way too late, it is not, we're not putting the best genetics forward. And then we're also not raising our children with mother and father in the home. So the society and the way that things would be is that, economically, and I'll talk about the economics later, is that people can live off of a one income household. And the wife will be taken care of. It'll be all signed in a contract. Now, men don't have to get married when they get out of the military. They don't have to. And they'll still be given a house and all this other stuff. You can stay on this. You can get out. You can choose to get older and continue to grow in the marketplace and in the sexual marketplace and grow and get more what's it called? Because the one thing I got to mention is that and this is one thing that will kind of promote this ideal further is that how can I explain this? When the women go on the market once they're 18, right? And everything can be run through these cool little contraptions. Now, another thing is that people below the age of 18 will not have these cool little contraptions. But let's say um, that happens to people. She's the age of 18 now. She's still going to be living at the school, by the way, and chaperoned, guarded by chaperones and so forth. And she's going to be guided through the whole process of the courting deal. Now, each one of these women will be assigned a price tag based off of their sexual market value. I feel you. The worst thing they could do is fire you. Well, it depends on what you did as well. But I know what you mean. I got you. Now, she's going to be given a price tag based off of her sexual market value. Obviously, the higher the sexual market value, the higher the price tag. Men will also be given a score of what their SMV is based off of their military service, their looks, how much they have, right? And what we're trying to do at this point in time is we're trying to pair people up. One of the biggest things that I'm starting to learn is that this disparagement between sexual market values. And I talk about this, guys, like if you haven't read my book yet, A Patriarch's Vision, Purging Feminism, the last chapter is based on sexual market value. And I go into a lot of theories as to why things are so imbalanced right now, because we have all these women that are like fives and they're thinking that they deserve eights because they've already hooked up with an 8 off of fucking Tinder or whatever. So now all these men that are 5s to 8s, they're having to work way too hard in order to pull this 5, and she's got this chip on her shoulder. So now that's why there's an increasing rate of dissatisfaction and incels, right? So this 5 has this bloviated, inflated sense of self as to what her fucking SMV is. And the cool part about this model that I'm talking about is she'll know her SMV. And she'll have to change her attitude and what she brings to the table based off of what her SMV is. So it's like if I'm a guy and I'm just looking to have an easy kind of go in life and I'm just going to knock her up and have 2 kids or whatever, and that's the only reason why she's there, but I want her to be pleasant and all this other stuff, I just simply go after a 6, right? And I pay for 6, right? And then we have a contract, and the contract is going to say something along the lines of, and this is where I get into the whole marriage thing. So marriage will only be between male and female, and the only reason that marriage would exist is because you're choosing to have children. It's just a business contract. As a man who's coming in with all the resources, I am essentially hiring you to be my quote unquote wife / mother of my children, raise them up in a healthy environment, and then we go from there. Now, 2 things that I don't know if you guys caught. Children at age 13, they're going to get moved to a kind of like boarding school. Men are going to go to a men's school. Women are going to go to a girls' finishing school. I know this sounds kind of crazy, but this is something that I think people should get on board with, because the biggest problem that we face in the world today is that most people that do have kids, they're not the best parents. People aren't always ready to be the best parents. And I think that if we have something that's a little bit more, and I hate to use the term standardized, but boys will go through an initiation, like a rites of passage at 13 years old, and then they'll go into this boys' school. This isn't to say either that the parents won't have some role in the child's life after they turn 13. But what it does at that point in time too is it kind of frees up parents to, after 13 years, or let's say I have 2 children now and they're 2 years apart, that was 15 years where I was focused on raising these kids up. Now I could get back to also focusing on myself, right? Because the onus, the central point of a society, like I said, is the individual. Hey man, thank you. I appreciate that. Are there a couple major points of the red pill you would emphasize? I think this is something I'm just kind of giving you guys like wave tops right now. And then I'll get more and more into that as I just continue to discuss this over and over and over. So that's a good talking point. I'm going to write that down so I could talk about that later. Key red pill. So, getting into it, and when it comes to marriage, so the guy will buy essentially the girl. And that money will go back into that money will go partly to the state and then partly go back to the school system as well, right? The boarding school, to keep that funded and going. But then there's a value transfer that's already there. And I don't know what the prices will be. Yeah, I'm still good with John Fitch. It's just like I said, I lost the internet here for a little while and all that other stuff. So I was just like, hey man, like I have no clue when I'm going to be able to get back on here, and I'm kind of focusing on other shit right now. So just do you. He should be fighting too, I think, within the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm excited to watch that. He's going to be fighting for Bellator. And if you guys want to watch the fight, you can actually download the Bellator app and be able to stream the fights while he's fighting. So support John Fitch by doing that. Thank you as well. I appreciate the super chat, Jennifer. Now, and like I said, going into it, 18 years old, she gets put on the market, can get bought up by the guy. Now there's an investment. There's also a business contract. What I would like to see personally for the business contract of like what I talk about is it highlights the standards. So for me personally, I would say something along the lines of like, this contract will be null and void 2 weeks after our youngest child turns 13. We are only going to have 2 children between the two of us. I think that's what I would limit it to as well, to prevent overpopulation. Each woman would only be able to have 2 children. And then after that, like no more. So that we can continue to grow a stable society without overproducing and all this other stuff. And then I could go and get another wife after that, who's 18 to 22, and continue that depending on my status and wealth and so forth. But either way, I don't believe in marriage as an institution any longer as something that should be for lifetime. And I think that's something that we're starting to see, especially with the statistics today. I mean, it's about 50%. You know, some years it goes up to 53%, some years it goes down to 47%. But what that shows is half the population is non-monogamous or isn't looking to be in a relationship with somebody for the rest of their lives. That's 50% of the population. Now, we live in a world today where they kind of punish you and tell you like till death do us part kind of bullshit. I think that's stupid. Let's have a contract. If I want to be with you for the rest of my life, or so what I think to be the rest of my life, Owen and I got into it pretty hardcore on Twitter before, but I think some of his stuff's good. I think he's a little bit emotionally unstable, but he's a funny guy, and I think some of his stuff is actually pretty good. What I'm getting into with this is, and this is what I'm starting to see too with women, is that once they sign this contract of being a wife today, and they know it's till death do us part, and the guy can't cheat or do anything, she's got him locked in. So now what does she do? She just kind of becomes a shrew and gets fat and doesn't have any standards put on her, any of this stuff, and she doesn't do anything to fucking keep the man around. And then the man is now in a sexless marriage, and he can't cheat, or else he's going to lose all his shit and all this other stuff. It's like, no. We're going to talk about this shit right now in this contract. Right now, you're 18 years old, you're 125 pounds, you're this size dress, and you've been working out and eating right this whole time. You're going to maintain that. You will never get above 100, post-pregnancy or something like that. You'll never get above 130 pounds. You'll never grow past this fucking size or whatever, or else repercussions will start to happen, right? Those will be highlighted. Like I talk about too in this, like when we separate, because you've been just a mother this entire time, I will pay you for 4 years, like a 4-year type of alimony, for you to have your own place, for you to go to school, right? And this is like kind of part of the whatever, however you want to set this up, because she's going to have to agree to the terms before you quote unquote pay her dowry to the school and all this other stuff, and before you actually get married. And the other thing is, you will not actually be able to have, like, going back into this stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Absolutely. Like, have a standardized type of thing that goes into, the structures of this stuff. Now, the beauty of it is, like, what I'm talking about, all this stuff, what I believe produces and pushes the most optimal direction, understanding human behavior and human nature. And what it does is it gives people skin in the game. Women's roles from 18 to 30 to 33, however, right, is going to be being a wife and a mother. Knock that out of your system right off the fucking bat early on. Get that done with, right? Because once you have 2 kids, done and over with. Once you leave that window, right, that window of 18 to 35, no more kids, period, right? Not good for society. It gets it out. Now, let's say you don't renew that contract with that person, with the man that you were with. And now you have 4 years of quote unquote alimony or whatever you discuss as far as terms are concerned. And of course, you're going to have a consultant there kind of managing you at the school, at this finishing school, to tell you whether or not this contract is shit or not, right? And what proposals to kind of get. And then after that, you could be a free woman. You could go out, you can start working, you can go to school, right? You can do all these different things. You could go out and you could fuck whoever you want. Seriously, like I highly recommend it. I talk about this in my book as well. I believe that older women should be sleeping with younger men to teach them. When the guys are in the military from 18 to 30, it doesn't mean they can't be having sex. It just means, like, no girlfriends, no wives, no kids. So what would be best is to have prostitutes or sex workers or whatever that are a bit older, right? 30s to 35s or whatever, around all the bars, like around this military base and stuff like that. Men are going to be able to practice their game on them or whatever. However, they don't have to be prostitutes. They could just be working there and whatever. But I think that the older women would have a responsibility to kind of teach these younger guys about sex. That way they'd be able to free themselves up too as well. They're not just having sex with one man for the rest of their lives, locked in this silly religious institution. Or if you really love the guy that you're with, do your best to stick to the terms of the contract. Do your best to build your value within that family and that relationship. And, ask him to sign another fucking contract for 5-10 years. And if he loves you, right? Because like I said, 50% of people actually like being in monogamous relationships and don't want to have to go through more work and all this other stuff. Or even after being together for 15 years, they're like, hey, I like this routine. I like the way things are. I like how this is. It's like, okay, so let's sign another fucking 10-year contract. Right? But then this gives options. This doesn't lock people into, because the problem that I'm seeing today is this. All right. So we have on one spectrum, the super masculinized, ordered world of like this religious, like, piety, right? Where it's like everything is dogmatic. It has to fit into this black and white kind of context. And then we swung the pendulum all the way to this other side over the last 50, 60, 70 years with multiculturalism, with just hedonism, with just blurring the lines of everything, sexual revolution and all this other stuff, and unfettered freedom. Like, unfettered freedom. Like, here you go, 18-year-old, like, go and just fuck your life up right now for forever. Right? Go sleep with fucking thousands of men or whatever. Go into fucking stupid amounts of debt and all this other stuff. It's like, no, we need to find the happy medium, and that's right here. And like I said, for men, it's joining the military at 18 to 30, serving their fucking debt to society as far as being a protector / provider. And then for women from 18 to 30, 35-ish, they're in a relationship with a man who's older, being guided and mentored on not being a fucking crazy person, and having boundaries held over them, and being a mother, raising our fucking children. You're not in the workforce. You are just dedicated to being a wife and a mother. Get that out of the way right off the bat. That's your duty to society. The men are doing their duty to society. Afterwards, you can choose your level of freedom that you so desire. But you've paid your debt. You've paid your debt to society. And we all agree that we're going to continue to have this as a tradition, as part of the foundation of what our society should be. Because we've gone from one spectrum to the other. This is the middle. This is the happy ground, right? And this is what I've been able to kind of figure out. It's like, where do we find that middle ground? How do we make it so that we have children being raised by their mother and father, because that's what we need to have in order to raise a healthy society? How do we have it so that women are having children within that golden window of 18 to 26 when it's the healthiest genetics possible, right? How do we have it so that women don't lose their pair bonding mechanism to their own fucking children by having sex with so many fucking men? This answers all of the flaws that we see in today's society. And then we're even producing men that are calibers of men that women want to be with. And then we throw it all into this, no kidding, marketed sexual marketplace, where the sexual marketplace is now no longer like this kind of hidden type of thing that we pretend that we don't know is really truly the operating place. We promote it. We make that marketplace the actual marketplace by which our society operates on at the first extent. I think it's beautiful. Now, a lot of people will be like, Corey, this sounds very authoritarian. You sound like a dictator. Yeah, you're right. I do. But it's an authoritarian that is actually pushing for the best direction for humanity, its genetics, and people's happiness. Producing the best children. Producing the most open-minded people, understanding full and well that in order for them to understand freedom, they first got to pay their debt to society, right? There's got to be skin in the game on both sides. That's justice to me. That's balance. And then I've optimized the entire system by doing it this way. It sounds crazy. It really does, but I think it's the best direction. Now, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that I want to discuss. I could probably talk about this shit for hours, but I'd much rather talk about it another day. That's kind of the foundation of it. I can't wait to discuss further education, the type of education children should be put into from 5 to 13. It's when boys and girls will actually be together, and what type of foundations they'd have to have in order to produce the best types of people. I've also done a lot of research as of late into economics, what type of market we need to have, and what type of money system and currency system that we have to have put into place. And then I've also looked into as far as how the infrastructure of these cities / towns / commonwealths all need to be set up, and what type of relationships we need to have when it comes to like food and water and energy, like the key infrastructures on top of other things. So I've done a lot of soul searching and debate as well, and research on how to cultivate this stuff. And I really do think this is the direction that we need to go. Now, the other thing that I've been pondering, and this is something I'd love to hear some feedback from, is I was debating, it's almost kind of like what the Amish do. When a person turns 18, giving them an option as to whether or not they want to live within this society. There's a part of me that says, no, don't give them the option, especially because you just dumped 5 years of resources, actually more than that, of putting them through this kind of school system and so forth. But I think there's always going to be some natural amount of people that resist and don't fit into the paradigm. And would you really want those people part of your system or society? The other thing, this is a good one. How would university level studies and research in the sciences, technologies continue and be integrated for men and or women? Would these types of studies be introduced in the boarding school? No. I don't believe that children should be going to university. I think that first they need to learn trades, or they need to have experience in the real world first before they choose which area in life that they're really truly passionately called to. and knowing full well that they need to invest resources, or i.e. go into debt, in order to specialize. The cool part is for men being in the military, they'll probably be exposed to different levels of things that they might be drawn to. For instance, right, we might have some guys that test very well and might actually have to become like surgeons or something like that. Even though the one thing I don't like about the military and military medicine is it's socialized. So it's like, we'll see. I would much rather actually hire out and contract out and bring in professionals to the military for medicine than actually having people in the military be trained on that. But so let's say, for instance, I served from 18 to 30, and the entire time I was in, I've been researching this direction that I want to go. Well, the cool part is I would like to still do, and maybe we could do this. It's an either or. If I'm getting out, I can either choose to have that house that I talked about, I can choose to have the house given to me, right? So the property in the house, I'm now the owner of that house in order to have kids, or I can choose to have 4 years of schooling paid for. So now I can choose to go into, and I believe this. Universities should be very stringent, again, like they used to be, and only choose and select the top level people that earn their way into it. Next, the only school systems, the only things that universities should be teaching is, get this, STEM plus law plus medicine. But no one under the age of 30 would be able to go to a university. The biggest reason why I say that too as well is, number one, we're indoctrinating children way too early. Two, everything is becoming politicized. This would avoid the biggest plague that we have that's plaguing our civilization right now is politics. Politics have become our culture. And we're recruiting the youngest people with the lowest amount of experience, people that don't even have an identity yet, who are absorbing politics as their identity, and they're arguing tooth and nail about it. It's like, you don't understand how the world works yet. You don't even need to be discussing politics. As a matter of fact, I don't believe that even most people should even have a say in politics, discussing it. And that's why I would actually remove, this is something that you guys are going to like. There's a reason why I have a throne on this fucking book here, because I think that we need to go back over to a monarchy. So that's something else that we'll discuss on the next one. Monarchy. Because we need to remove politics. The cool thing is we have the internet now, so people's voices can be heard. They could present ideas and so on and so forth. And it's faster than what we have going on right now with having a House and a Senate. We'd probably have a legislative branch for sure, right, in order for justice to be served. But outside of that, we need one person at the top being decisive, and that's a king. And that way there you know who the enemy is in case he turns. I don't believe in voting. I believe in rational argument and debate in order for optimization. So that's what I would promote. You want your voice heard? You can hop on fucking YouTube and you could say, hey, I have a solution for this. Here's my rationale behind it. All of a sudden, people start upvoting all this other stuff. Hey, King, we have this issue. This person's got an idea, and this person's got an idea, and this person's got an idea. All right, cool. Let me watch that. I'll watch, listen. All right, let's bring all these people in right here, right now, in front of the court. Present your ideas. Let's argue this. Let's rationalize this stuff. And then I'll make the decision on which direction to go based off of that. Boom. Problem solved. Let's go. Implement it now. Boom, 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 boom. We got a free market too. Hey, first person to come up with this gets awarded this contract. Or, hey, someone should create this, right? Not even a reward. It's like, hey, someone create this. This is the solution. Someone create this. Build a business around this. Get it done. Get it manufactured. All right, cool. Boom. Then 10 people create it. Someone creates it better and cheaper. Awesome, cool. Free market right there. Way for your society. Way better that way. And then you're making people responsible for fucking thinking and coming up with solutions. Right? I think it's good. I think it's better for the overall health of a society. Oh, yeah. This is good. I'm glad I came on here and started talking about this stuff. I think for a little while I was getting frustrated because I was sitting there spinning gears because I want to see this all come to fruition. I have these tremendous ideas. And I think I might have, as far as marketing is concerned, I'm not a good marketer. I was probably marketing these ideas in the wrong way by not sharing them. I was like, you know what? I'm going to write the book about it and do all this other stuff. Now it's just like, fuck it. Who cares? I'm going to get on here and I'm just going to just start talking about it and see what comes of it. And if I fucking die and get put in a concentration camp or some shit like that, at least the ideas are out there. But anyway, oh shit, let's take a look through some of this stuff. First and foremost, I want to give big thanks out to all the people that gave me super chats. I believe Jennifer, Walker Jones, and Gregory. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Agreed, the average person changes careers 7 times. So why should you pick what you want to do for the rest of your life when you're 17 years old? Exactly. It's a scam. And then you're making that person go $150,000 to $250,000 in debt for that. It's like, it's fucking ridiculous. And then they're being pushed into this identity politics / political correctness type of ideology / Marxist stuff. It's like Lenin said it best. I believe it was Lenin. Give me your child for 4 years and I will sow seeds that can never be uprooted. It's like someone is most impressionable between 18 to 22. All right. With that said, guys, thank you for listening. For those people that are listening after the live stream, first and foremost, please do hit the like button. Next thing, share this. Share this with people that would like to hear this stuff. Share this with people that maybe would not like to hear this stuff. Who cares what they think? Just share it. The next thing is I'd like to hear from you who are listening outside of the live stream. What was your favorite idea that I presented so far? And then what was your least favorite idea? And when you present your least favorite idea, tell me why and what you think could be better. So leave that in the comment section below. With that said, I don't know when I'll be back live again. Possibly tomorrow. But we'll see. We'll see how I feel about that. For right now, I'm kind of liking coming on here twice a week, but my brain is starting to churn again on these ideas as to how to get this stuff out there. So we'll see. Maybe tomorrow. Do you have plans in the future with this channel? No, I don't. I have no plans. I don't have any plans at all right now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I've kind of been subscribing to the go with the flow type of thing over the last couple months. That's kind of served me well, to be honest with you. I'm going with how I'm feeling. I'm going with avoiding the chaos and not getting myself too emotionally wrapped up into certain things. I think what was happening with me too, as well, is I saw the writing on the wall for a lot of this shit. And I was like, oh shoot, I got to make plans right now. And I got to get this stuff going. And I was like, kind of, I don't want to say like, I wasn't spinning out of control, but I was like becoming very rigid. And when we become very rigid, you can't be creative because of your rigidity. So on top of that, of not doing jujitsu, it was just like I was focusing on cutting and all this other stuff and bodybuilding, hitting a goal that I've never hit before in my life of getting below 10% body fat. So, yeah, that's kind of exactly like what I'm the 9 saying is I'm waiting for an opportunity to present itself to strike. That's all it comes down to. So, I'm just kind of going to do this right now. I'm going to talk about my dreams of the future. You guys seem to enjoy it. I enjoy it most importantly. And that's it. Right. And we could have the conversation now rather than keeping it under wraps like I had it before. So, shit. All right, guys. Well, be on the lookout. I'm going to probably, if I do go live tomorrow, it's going to be around the same time, 5 p.m. tomorrow. If not, probably Monday. I like the Monday ones. And then from there, yeah, we'll see. For those guys, like I said, those of you that are watching this outside of the live stream, tell me what idea you liked best and what you liked the least and what you would fix about it. Cool. All right. And even if, even for you guys that watched it on the live stream that didn't put the comments in the comment section, do me that favor. Re-listen to this if you want to, or just after the broadcast, just go in the comment section and type in what you like the best and what you like the least and what you would fix. It's the only way to get this stuff fucking working. So cool. I'll chat with you guys later. See ya.